Greetings and salutations, and thank you for clicking on the video. Today I want to talk a little bit about RAID because I've had some questions about it in the last few videos that I've posted where I've been working on this new machine that I got, the Dell Precision T3500 workstation. I was talking about setting it up in RAID mode. RAID means redundant array of independent disks, and it is a way that you can take more than one hard drive and put it in the computer or in a RAID controller, however you do this, and as far as the computer is concerned, it sees it as one big block of storage. And this gives you the ability to do some really nifty things, like there are different levels of RAID. So RAID 0 would mean that you would take more than one disk, and then you would span the data storage across them. So as far as the computer was concerned, it'd be one big happy hard drive. So let's say that you had two 1 terabyte drives and then you put it in RAID 0. That would mean that the system would see 2 terabytes of storage space. And then the next one up is RAID 1. And RAID 1 means that you have two disks that are run in mirror mode. And that is what I was interested in doing because it is more secure. If one of those disks dies, the system keeps working and it will allow you to go back and fix that problem. And then there are other levels of RAID. You can go up higher and you can have many different disks and many different levels of parity. And if you want to learn about that, then you can check out the article here in Wikipedia. I'll put a link to this article in the video. So let's just talk a little bit about what I did with my system. And I'm no expert on this, gang. I have used RAID systems in the past, but once you set them up, they're usually kind of a no-brainer. You don't think twice about it. I remember having a server one time that had a big array of drives in it, and it had a nice RAID controller. It would tell you, just look at it, it'd tell you the status of the system. If one of the drives died, you just pulled it out and put another drive in and just kept on going, and then the RAID controller would rebuild all the data on it, and it was really cool. But this is simpler, and this is for a smaller computer. We're just talking about doing a mirrored RAID. And let me show you what it looks like once you install your system on it. So I've just run ls block here, which shows me all of the block devices, and you'll see that it has SDB and SDA. It's kind of listing them in reverse. I don't know why, but then you get these kind of interesting partitions on here, and it's saying that this is part of a RAID array called Ubuntu 1 terabyte, and then you have two partitions on each disk, and it's showing you those partitions on the disks. This doesn't do you a great deal of good when you're trying to figure out what you're looking at, so let's jump over here and take a look at disks, because it makes a little bit more sense. So if we look at disks, we have disk 1 here, and it shows that this is part of a RAID array, disk 2. So it still gives me the information about the individual disks in this system. That's how this Intel RAID controller works. It shows the individual disks to the system. If you had an external RAID controller, then you may not see this on your system. And then here we have the RAID device itself. And now you see something that makes more sense. Here's the system partition, and here's the home partition. So the system is actually installed on this 1 terabyte block device right there that disks is reporting, and I don't get too much that I can do with this. I can create a disk image or store a disk image or benchmark it, but other than that I can't do that because this is using a piece of software within Linux that's called a RAID mapper, and that's how it's seeing what's here. So as far as setting it up in Linux is concerned, you don't have to. When you install it, all you have to do is tell it where you want the system to go, and in this case it was this right here where it's created this virtual device that's just for the RAID system. So you pick that at install, and it installs, and as far as everything is concerned, as far as Linux is concerned, it's just on a hard drive. It doesn't know any different. Now, how do I actually control this and set this up? Well, there is a utility that boots up when the computer boots up. So I have a screenshot of what that looks like. So you go into the BIOS if your machine has RAID controls, and you can set that up, and so it will show you what's going on, and you boot it up, and what you get is this screen. I have an Intel RAID controller, and this actual screenshot is from an older version. Mine looks pretty much the same, but it's newer. And you take two hard drives and plug it into SATA 0 and SATA 1 in this case, and I wanted to set it up in mirror mode, which is right here where it says mirror, and which means that each drive has exactly the same data on it, and the RAID controller takes care of the reading and the writing. So you set that up and create a RAID volume, and then go ahead and boot up the machine with the Linux or whatever operating system it is you want to install, and then you install your operating system onto that RAID device. And what happens is that every time you write something, it goes to each disk, and if you read something from the disk, the operating system reads something from the disk, it can choose to do it in several different ways. It can read one disk or the other or both simultaneously. So you get a little bit of a boost in read performance, not a whole lot, just a tiny bit. Write performance is a little bit slower on a kind of a lower end RAID controller like this one, but for me that's cool because I just really like the redundancy. So when the machine boots up, I get a screen that's very similar to this that flashes across, and as you can see right here, it's got it tells you what's going on, and my volume has got a different name. Mine is it's called Ubuntu 1 terabyte, and it tells me what's going on with that, and it says we're in mirrored mode, and then the size, of course. But this is the real important part where it says status. If it says normal, that means that everything is hunky-dory and both drives are working the way they should. And of course, bootable is always good. And if one of these drives should die, just quit working all of a sudden, the system's going to go ahead and boot up, but I'm going to see this message as it goes by, and it'll say that this is deprecated, which means that only one drive is working. And in that situation, that's going to let me know that I'm going to need to do something. Probably the first thing I'd want to do is a backup, and then I'd want to shut the system down, take the drive out, the bad one, put a new empty drive in there, and then reboot it. And then what the RAID controller will do is it will come up and say, hey, we can rebuild this, you want to go ahead and do that? And then I just tell it, yeah, go ahead and rebuild it, and it'll copy all the data from the good drive over to the new drive, and there you go. If you have a big RAID array with several redundant disks, you might not even have to take the system offline to do that. Some of them are hot swappable. You can just take the drive out, the bad one that's being reported as bad, stick another one in there, and the system will keep on running and rebuild at the same time. But this is kind of simpler hardware. This is for a simple workstation, not a great big server array. So this is pretty cool. This way I can make sure that this system is going to keep running even if one of these disks just flat out dies. And I'm fortunate that I have kind of a cache of these Western Digital Caviar Black 7200 RPM 1 terabyte drives. Somebody gave me a whole bunch of them. So if one of these drives just up and quits, no problem. Just pull it out, stick another one in, rebuild, and keep rocking down the highway. So there you go. It's just a real quick talk about what the RAID system is and how it works. And there is software RAID that you can set up for Linux, where if your computer does not have a RAID controller on it, but you can plug a bunch of drives into it, it'll do all this in software. But I don't recommend it. I tried setting that up one time. First of all, it's extremely complicated, and second of all, it didn't work very well. So I don't recommend doing that. But if you have a hardware controller on your computer, and a lot of machines do, if it's a slightly higher end PC desktop computer, you might be able to take advantage of this. So thank you for watching, and be sure to check out Easy Linux on the web, check out Easy Linux on Facebook, and also check out freedompenguin.com for lots of really cool stories about Linux. Thanks for watching.